Urania's Dendrospheres of Hymettus leprechauns, moored in rubbery pantaloons of star milk, glucitalons of the Martian turban, the Asia Sphinxian waterfalls of jaded Azores. The maroon plumage of Urania's Dendrospheres of laconic alchemy, Hymettus palingenesis of watercolor marigold meadows. Priestesses of Golgotha nailed the basilisk cartilage, stuffed with sweet and sour nuns and petulant toads, to the husk, plumage of Dawnbringer, chariots of Mahatma, obelisks of periwinkle astral systems theoretica, cosmogonic gargoyle nuns, stuffed with meatball soaked carnations, an amphibian soaked automobile, soaks the equipoise of animus coral barnacle fawns. Oh, bituminous star milk of your club footed fungi hind legs, revolver a hairbrush of nebulae, foams, volcano Fibonacci, sequential phenomenological astronomy, the honeysuckle tambourines of Dawnbringer homunculus, of antediluvian Freudian limousines, glued to the superliminal fairies of Albertan toucans, rint-hilled gargoyle lemurs, nailed to the astronomical mosque exploded inside your neurons, crucifix, peppermint toothpaste milkshakes, autumn lingual torn out carpets, and the cauldron of neologisms, paranoid Andalusian mergansers swimming through the foam water, reef in the wounds of your supernovae parietal lobe, the onks of Christmas in all possible worlds, nailed to the megalithic ogres, razor in the bled out harmonica, beatific Manitoba baboon, sweetbriar the bumblebee data wombs, gesticulate and seahorse press marinated waffles, Talon the Hydra's beard of stingray obsidian vortexes, the Kabbalah of Oceania, the Micronesian canoe, across the sapient subliminal marina, explode in the deflowering of pineapple wounds. The cybernetic fungi dances with the lugubrious puma man, tearing out the cauldrons of catatonic catharsis. Shackling the elevator with an absolute infinity of levels. Sphincters the Sphinx salamander, foxgloves, the marinated drilled conch shell exploded with antiphysicalist prehensile xylophones of an absolute singularity. Antlers, the omniphobic swan careening and helica palingenesis, Yukon's omnigram, serpentine drizzle, of Paracelsus, grizzlies, stag, the shamanic headdress, resin, the scorpions, verbal tarantula, ideationally undulates, bloodied Kantian wolverines of Minerva's dripping soul, bituminous Lemuria, careens Jupiter upon the ogreish, feverish peninsulas, of pure surrealist psychotic butterflies, scare up the glimmering wounds of lunar pandas with fire-breathing dandelions, a sweater scimitar, the mathematical anti-realist tarantula, zodiac's Dravidian monkhood, of a slug's bastion, basilisk, crammed with anthill coffins, foams ogreish Urania. Uranus crystallizes cartilage of bloody thirsty starlight, mammoth supernovae, lobotomized dendrophobic, saber-toothed tigresses, the sonatas of albino grizzly bears, hallucinate mockingbird medusae, parabolic paranoid vacuums of lobster semen served with a glass of platonic maple syrup, bucks the screaming solar valleys of Boltzmann brain hummingbirds, sylvan Puritan window frames of rainbow pyramids, dancing with the mummified sphinx beaver animus falconry of automatism, scorpion garlands in a sea of the collective subconscious, milliards, whales of antediluvian spirit bear vixens, the anti-realist alchemy of British Columbian ornithology dumplings, the coacato ambrosio tendrils of nightingale, rosemary, riparian raptor, cyclonic astral carpets of mandrake, merman-headed butterflies, gangrenes, stilettos, of Venus's lobster meadows, oniric antiphysical cosmic pancake makers, drizzo, grizzly, battered maple syrup robin of omnipotent gnosis plumes, parapsychic peninsulas of pataphysical palinodes, a buttered peppermint slug Cephean ambrosial violet moon exploding with trillions of armadillos, mockingbird medusae nailed to the labyrinth of sugary seahorse crucifixes, the valleys exploding with tendrils of navy blue supernovae, the antediluvian drumstick, a chickadee salting flesh, more sweeter than absolutely hedonistic melon dripping, amnesian pine hams down the comedian laconic magpie vexillology. Festoon and undulation of tiger lily battered with dragon sweat vortexes Ross, Hilbert, infinite birdhouse, pomegranate of eternal ethereality, caribous the milky timber, albino fawns. Swell in the foam, a prehensile possible world ogreish geometry. The black holes of serene, sublime, sociological supernovas, graveyard of salacious Neptunian drilled highways, glued to earth kinds, prairies of a hermeneutical mandrake. The oriental childhood blisters the coattails of cougars of Gothica. The Sumerian Gothica limousine, peregrinate in panpsychic homunculi, universalized the moral nihilist prairies, bloodstreams of Gaia's lavender lingual blenders, exploding with quadrillions of formica. Automobiles equal anarchist mongoose, festooned to the possible world modal realist rocket ships of schizophrenic Gothica. The magenta Muhammad slicing the xylophones of Golgotha's headdress, the vortex and torso of astronomical cyclonic Gaelic kestrel, the redwood jonquil sphinxian beehive exploding with emerald-hued peregrinating bluebirds Novembered with Amnesian sunflower women, the squirrel mandrake calcifies the Pythagorean doe bucking electromagnetic chinchillas into a magma chronospherical sea of fire breathing um umbrellas. Your delicate torso gleams upon the beluga Dracula timbers the synesthesical drizzle of magenta ogreish warblers, the pataphysical boomin of spring's time-traveling rainwater, lupines and poppy sage craters stuffed with arachnid monks, Buddhas of entomology, drizzle of poppywood cauldrons, stuffed with an absolute infinity of parapsychic black holes, the absolute solipsist woodpecker, drilled to the multiverse's delicate thighs, crammed of Golgotha's turban of sweaty mongooses, swells the chestnut astral melons in a Choctaw forget-me-not, dancing sunflower-headed goblin, the parade and altar of absolute lunacy, drizzles the thought-disordered supernova exploded inside your amber irises, the protophagic zygote, woolly mammoth, drizzled in maple syrup dumplings, gawns the cosmogonic hummingbirds, moon-spangled the pataphysical wildflowers, megalithic transmutational xylophones, fastened Tao's cuneiform headdress, dialectic octopus-headed tarantulas, loon, the laconic moonball, basketball winters, the magma automobiles v-necked into an orchid, a phantasmagoric kangaroo-headed nebulae, the numinal totem, undulating timeless raccoon women, screaming at the speed of pataphysical light for exploding rocket ships of eroticism, semaphores of boiled armadillos with gremlin ovaries, exploding the Great Barrier Reef in a possible world Nunavut. The starry headdress of bleeding redwood volcanoes, side rail the cuneiform piranha, sibyl framed the starry peppermint milk, seaweed garlands, sweaty rhomboid rhinoceros men, elephantine womankind, the elephantiasis of atheist crucifixes. Klondike's the Rockies, exploding inside your microwave of starry gypsies, mavericks, mallards, with sphinx ears paranoidly chopped into the grill of pataphysical surrealist synergy. The antediluvian Kremlin, the ogreish medicine woman, the honeysuckle's crystalline, milky, slug-headed experimental musicians, the mellifluous melodious mosque of caterpillar crabs, crimson buffet, exploding with post-human cybernetic hockey players, quackiato leatherback domes, dome-heeled paranoid razor, Avanti epistemology, beavers, Roz video games of thought-sorted waterfalls, smearing the Galpin Falloy goalies, albino phalantiasis of elephantine peregrine with gigantic wide lips, the encyclopedic formica smeared on buffalo Swiss, Hijabs, the marinas, merganser neuroticism, rubbery wildflower, elephant carbuncles, the scarab sirocco's of Saskatchewan. Nonetheless, soapy tendrils of a vainglorious harmony of antediluvian gorgons, retrograde in the saintly butterfly, explode in infinitesimal planets, the lunar humanoid crag vortexes, the ambrosial Milky Way as a pure hallucination. The quail, pure phenomenological black holes of Saturn's saccharine totems, Semperturnity's niqab of absolute aesthetic, mereology, Neptunian underworld, in a BC beehive drilled into galloping goblin squeezed maple syrup. The mandarins of arachnid kinds blossom in violet coattails. Omnicroniologizes nomadic paranoid dreamcatcher, and tumbleweed a melodious harmonic dreamscape glued to the anxiety disordered magma dumplings. Cerebral cerebrums, cortexes and milky hot tubs of star-like millipedes, Sphinx the Solarian antediluvian Mahatma, the sapphire cosmic gorgon, peels mandarin skin made out of vampire scorpions, Luxor of Canadiana Egyptology. The morbid coconut daddy lawn-like poetess, with her wedding dress, blossom in trillions of gigantic antilles, exploding with the levitating chestnut cities made out of edible epistemology. The metaphysical gymnastics at her antipode, the monopole warbler's sensorially zygote, a grasshopper, ashtray, spearmint, the Hegelian dialectic between anthropoid and non-anthropoid, blossom like lingual Neptune in a bathtub of ruby B-sire solar valleys, careening between the infinitesimal mental butterflies of absolute feverish desire dancing upon your carnational lips, the spatial delirium of a beatnik caribou, timorously marinas, geological thought-sorted prairies of the past, proto-psychic beaver Shiva, the flocculent rubbery pyramid, and the underworlds of Banff, the orchid blossoming with infinitesimal sublime kingfishers, your arteries vortexes through the gauntlet of a sea of quadrillions of submerged moons, in the bathtub of Punjab turnstiles, the oasis butterfly of envious barracudas, prairies, the cosmogonic brain of black holes, retrograded Cyril through the Rockies of psychotic perambulating ornithology, caressing the milkshakes of leprechaun shamrocks of Gautama, blisters the club-footed fawn, wearing lunatic stilettos, the hyper subliminal reefs, spit out absolutely infinite black holes upon comedian arachnid woman, Tamaris raisins, marigold bloodstreams, the plumage of the undulating crescent moon chessboards of fairy cognition, the absolutely unknowable anti-idealist tarantula shot through a canyon of multiverse swoons, a boudoir of mermaid mandrakes, undulating drumstick in a buffet of moons, eating time and space with a holy water glass of maple syrup, celestial prefrontal cortexes sizzling on a grill of absolute aesthetic cannibal hummingbirds, a weeping altar of surreal bled-out frames of qualia as your lips lick a gargantuan redwood pyramid, a sublime waterfall of infinitesimal anthills, plumage the blossoming of your soul, beating profoundly for a lily zucchini dragon's arteries, nails the orgasmic altar of anthropoid nail bloodstreams, tearing out the foamy Pacific, Oceania's knotted hair strands. A cradle of just conceived supernova, blubber your torso upon the breast of the multiverse. We roll upon a careen, a butterflied sonata cyclonic siroccos, your sylvan silky flesh, pressed like a buffet of amethyst butter, perambulating wormwood stuffed mermaids drinking nebulous rocket ships, swimming bloodshot beyond the omniverse, the serpentine Dracula's razor blade of marigold underworld drippings wombs the meadows, the seahorses of Neptune, the bleed and rainwater of eternity conchas the orangutan sea, of saintly suture nailing the metals, blistering, freezing in a bathtub of pure turquoise starlight, your flesh bleeding Andromeda's bloody rubbery toy castles, trigonometry eyes in a marble frame, nailed to the boudoir Dawnbringer, mermaid ogres, the buffet of Eros, boils a mannequin limb. The fawns play in the infinitesimal pyramids in your hair. We roll like a salamander burger, dripping with butterfly waffle makers. The twilight bringer nightingales frame in opulent Surrealist Tanog breast of the chieftain Kabbalah, your eyeballs are blossoming, laughing birds, where naked starlight dives off a diving board of nocturnal nuns, star spilled and ogre stuffed of Golgotha's Buddhist mosque, sanguine nightingales are nailed on every playing volume in the multiverse, like flocculent fawn flares. With the gargantuan automobile glued to your subliminal prairies, you were born in a cranium of screaming starlight. Bloody nuns retrograde the patio lanterns of pataphysics, their rubby chimera breasts, flagrant peregrinating silken cuneiform Beatrix, hypochondriac moons sucking in zephyrs of levitating zambonis, alchemic chimeras, quadratically plumage, the elephantiasis elevators, catatonia mallard tendrils, the violet owl heads, megalithic rhinoceroses, irrational numbered anthill plumage, erotic gargoyle with cottonwood of bloody wormwood, jonquil, and dentalium of transhumanist, atomist, logical positivist, battalions of basilisk ogres, hallucinations of fawn arrows, Menelix futurology, p- pineapples of Egyptian Socraticism, shucks, Belshazzar scorpions nailed to bloodthirsty wormhole meat petals, the unripened orioles of Eucharistic gremlins, the duck-tailed widgeon in his sandcastle by the gleaming phallus of Sisyphus, bloodied cathedrals, basilisk, the spindling of Saturn's prehensile mandibles, a violet sargasso womb of antediluvian totems, the crepuscular fairy to a woman's Sasquatch woman's locked in a psychiatric hospital, buttersticks, the exploding volcano apotheosis, testicles, psychonaut, dragon plumages, the drapes of the omniversal dreamcatcher, swaps its zircon feldspar, foxglove, quartz, reindeer, stiletto heels. Antediluvian gorgons dance in the cauldron of freshly squeezed bloodshot pyramids, swimming past space and time into ethereal Minogian birdhouses. A Talos crane wriggles across the reefs of Merganser, Romania. The sylvan Saturn dragon blossoms Merlin's Zeusian carriage, framed to the moon's frostbitten cratered lips. Catatonic fawn, alchemically palinodes, the Buddhist temple of the multiverse. The Iroquois mermaid plays with a Dravidian grizzly drumstick, snapping the club-footed reef cartilage of opulent vermouth rivulets of totemic zygotes, tendrils of firefly flesh soaked in Egyptologist dome-headed cranium of the peregrinating bleeding eyeballs of the puerile sea of pure imagination. The lily pearl gelatinous fawn rears upon cathodes of starlight memetics, liturgy of antipheus bloodstreams crammed into a hot dog of barracuda barnacles. The fairy castles of gibbous goblets caress the moon's beard of laughing serpents, eggplants of omnidimensional hive mind, the casserole of Egyptologist raw, phoenixes, gargoyle, cromer lyres of lactic, laconic, arachnic empresses magenta interdimensional hermetic tangle of numerological irises, antelope salt, chestnut, sapling, graden, Swiss, of Saskatoon berry torsos, carbuncles of northern lights, soapy foam, a thought disordered cobalt oak, sarcastically drills lingual wormholes into the temporal lobes of the moon, shackles a possible world gargoyle, actuary owl to the glaciers made out of newly born galaxies, rolled on the dice of anti-existence. The futurology in my breast of starry fireflies glistens Urania's cauldron of Uranus's cranium soaked in leprechaun milk, an equipoise of salamander fawns tambourine the cosmic Christmas tree in Vancouver, BC, where sempiternity is over. The harmonical feverish sandcastles of the bloody black holes of psychoanalytic flocculent chestnuts smear in turquoise glue to the quantum computers of pure surrealism, flaring quaquital medicine dances, Baconian emotionology, the psychophysical hypochondriac cirrus crystalline spermatic zygote glowworms, the atheist black holes leap into quadratic high heels of tarantula chandeliers, blistering gangrene scimitars of a zygote's open wounds, mystagogic dragonasteries, lobotomizes the millenarian Vatican seahorse, flaunting with the pumpkin-headed nightingales, flocculent ambrosial belladonna blenders the pomegranate of pineapple leprechauns, smeared on windows of rubbery rhinoceroses strapped to the waterfalls of zebroid psychosis, transmutational giblet salted technicolor loon, the mummified Egyptologist chieftain festoons, the omniscient pyramid luxor of electric guitar tambourines, blossoms of maronite and merganser soapy chickadee, casseroles into Martian dumplings, the cerulean drapes wriggle the absolute marvelous, elephantiasis paranoid hummingbird dancing with emu eggplants, the ogreish kangaroo flaunting in the frostbitten nebulous daffodils of post-rationality.